Every single year, week one of college football doesn't just give us games, it gives us a ton of answers. But those answers only matter because of the questions that we walk in with. And trust me, for 2025, I've got 10 of them. Not all of these are probably going to be fully answered by the end of opening weekend, but I guarantee you we will leave week one knowing a whole lot more than we do right now. So let's run through them one by one. If you love college football the way I do, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop the one question that you want answered in week one down below. I'm going to do these in order that the games are going to appear, starting with number one. What does Boise State look like without Ashton Jeanty? Boise State was the Group of Five darling last year, college football playoff participant, the flag bearer for the Mountain West, but that was with Ashton Jeanty. Now that he's gone to the NFL and the Broncos really have to figure out how they can prove that they are more than just one superstar. South Florida's no pushover in week one. Without Jeanty, the pressure falls on Maddox Madsen and a reloaded running back room led by Sire Gaines. Everyone knows Boise has the depth, but the perception nationally is you were Jeanty and Jeanty was you. Week one is going to be our first look at whether Boise is still a playoff caliber team or if they regress back into just another solid G5 program. My second question is Nebraska really ready to take that next step? Here's the thing with them. We all know year 3 under Matt Rule is supposed to be the jump year. Cincinnati at Arrowhead is a perfect litmus test for that. Offensively, Dylan Raiola already looks the part. He's got the arm talent, the poise, the whole deal really, and he's got a much better receiving room and an offensive line that should keep him clean for the most part. So they're going to be good offensively. But defensively, that's where my questions start to live, and that's kind of interesting when you consider a Matt Rule team. You lose a lot of veterans up front. The D-line is unproven, but I like some pieces of it. And while the secondary has a lot of competition and some intriguing transfers, it's still a very young roster overall, nearly 3/4 underclassmen. This doesn't necessarily scream ready-made contender just yet, so the question is simple. Does Nebraska look like a team growing into the Big Ten fight, or do they still look 1 year away? Week one's going to tell me a whole lot about this group. I feel like all I've been doing this offseason is just hyping up Georgia Tech. Are they a legit CFP sleeper? They aren't just frisky this year. They are on the national radar from me and a lot of other pundits out there. Haynes King remains one of the most efficient dual threat quarterbacks in the sport. He puts up elite numbers with precision, toughness, and the offense led by OC Buster Faulkner is a chess master. I'm talking screens, reverses, quarterback draws. They're giving you fresh looks every snap. They're creative, and I like the receiver room too with Eric Rivers, Malik Rutherford. It's deeper than really it has been in quite some time. Meanwhile, I think the defense is stable. They bring in Blake Gideon as the defensive coordinator. I think they're going to be physical. They're battle tested. And now add that week one test at Colorado. Coach Prime's Buffs are a wild card thanks to their quarterback duel between Caden Salter and true freshman Julian Lewis. Curious to see if we get some run from both of them in this game, but they lost virtually all other offensive firepower. Shador, Hunter, and other top contributors, they're all gone. The offensive line, the run game are still improving. And while their defense has some veteran transfers, the real question remains, can they hang with Georgia Tech's depth and polish? So here's how this shakes out. If Georgia Tech comes out in Boulder and looks tougher, deeper, more precise like I think they're going to, that is sleepers in the spotlight material. And if they stumble, that tag flames out before Friday lights up. But something tells me that they're going to be ready to crash the party. I love Georgia Tech and the spread in this one. Now, can we actually take Auburn or Baylor seriously in the CFP conversation? Maybe not Auburn as much, but I've seen some people give some flowers to them. But Baylor, what are they going to be this year? This Friday night game is perfect because it's two programs desperate to be back in the national conversation. Auburn has Hugh Freeze. They brought in Jackson Arnold, a 5-star transfer who might completely change their ceiling. Baylor has Sawyer Robertson, ton of returning skill talent, one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the Big 12, one of the best running backs in all of college football. And one of these teams is going to walk off the field with credibility, and the other is going to leave with major question marks. That's what makes this game so fascinating, and you have to tune in on Friday night. I think for one of these, we might be looking at a sneaky playoff contender, and for the other, maybe we're just watching a good team that's a year away. Alrighty, it's the big one. Who is the alpha in the sport this year? Is it Texas or is it Ohio State? In my Wink 20, I got Ohio State 1, Texas 2. Truly the game of the year, and I have them rematching again in the national championship. This is the game of the week. maybe the whole season. Texas rolls into Columbus with Arch Manning making his first career start, and right out of the gate, he faces the defending national champs. Ohio State lost 14 draft picks, but let's be real, they're still loaded. Jeremiah Smith is already being talked about as the best player in college football. I have him winning the Heisman this year. Caleb Downs is an All-American safety, maybe the second best player in the country. And Ryan Day still has maybe the deepest roster in the country. I think this is the marquee measuring stick that you're asking for. If Texas walks into the horseshoe and wins, the conversation shifts from Texas is back to Texas is the alpha in college football. Steve Sarkisian said everything that they're doing is pointing to this year. But if Ohio State controls it, then it's business as usual. The Buckeyes remain the gold standard. Texas might still be a step behind. And either way, this is the clearest throne check we're going to get all year, and really one that we haven't gotten in quite a while in the regular season. So which way are you leaning, Texas or Ohio State? Drop your prediction in the comment. Let me know. I'll let you know mine later in the week. Speaking of a team that has some title aspirations, can Alabama mollywop Florida State like an actual title contender would do? There are a couple of touchdown favorites, but the word I used is mollywop. That's the difference between a playoff team and a national champion. They enter year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, and the scary part is the expectation hasn't dipped at all. The Tide are one of the SEC favorites, projected likely double-digit wins, and I've seen plenty of gurus picking them to win it all. Now, why? The roster is absurd. Elite at wide receiver with Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. The offensive line is one of the best in all of college football, and that defensive front led by James Smith and LT Overton is as nasty as ever. Now, week 1 at Florida State is fascinating. The Noles collapsed last year and are hoping that Boston College transfer Tommy Castellanos can maybe stabilize them a little bit. But the reality check is this: if Alabama squeaks by in this game, people are going to nitpick. If they go into Tallahassee and blow Florida State off the field, it proves that DeBoer didn't just keep the machine humming, but that he might have made it even more explosive. That is the separator between playoff good, like I think a lot of people know Alabama's going to be, and title level dominant like their ceiling is this year. I want to see which one we get in week 1. Number 7, who should we actually take seriously? LSU or Clemson? Maybe both, maybe neither. This is the beauty of week 1. We don't have to wait until November to find out who is for real. LSU has maybe Brian Kelly's most complete roster yet, Garrett Nussmeier, a loaded wide receiver room, and a defense that got a pretty major overhaul. They hit the portal hard. Clemson returns almost everybody. They finally hit the portal a little bit, and they have the weight of the ACC expectations on their shoulders, and I locked in Clemson to win the ACC as a lock of the year right now. Now, someone walks away from this game a legitimate title contender, and someone walks away exposed. This is a tier-shifting type of game. I think Clemson is a tier above LSU to start the season, but I could see that flipping after this game depending upon what kind of firepower we see from LSU. Who do you trust more, the continuity of Clemson or the ceiling of LSU? Maybe we find another title contender in this one. Number 8, and you got to tune into this one late on Saturday night. Is the Devin Dampier experiment in Salt Lake City for real? Utah is such an interesting team because last year was an outlier. 5 wins, bad offense, injuries all over the place. Kyle Whittingham almost retired, and instead he doubles down, brings in a new OC, and he hands the keys to Devin Dampier. And this isn't Cam Rising 2.0. It's a smaller, twitchier, dual-threat quarterback that they are betting big on. Week 1 at UCLA has so many storylines in and of itself. You obviously have a Nico Iamaleava coming in, and it's going to tell me a lot instantly for Utah if Dampier is the spark that this program needs, or if Utah is just drifting into the middle of the new Big 12. I have Utah winning the conference, and I want to see if they can take that next step early and if Dampier is the real deal. This game matters for really Whittingham, Dampier, Utah's identity, and the fact that they are playing a new-look Bruins team under Iamaleava, and I am fascinated by this game. The most underrated one of the weekend, honestly, and you really need to tune in because it's going to teach you a lot of what this season's going to be. Number 9, does Notre Dame belong in that upper echelon of the sport for good? Notre Dame is always hovering. They're good to great, but can they consistently stay there? Always just outside the circle of true contenders as of late. But I want to see if they really take that next step. Obviously, they made the national championship last year, but is it real? Is it consistent now? This year, Marcus Freeman's going all in with a brand new quarterback in CJ Carr. People are saying they really like him a lot in camp, and he surrounded him with some talent at wide receiver and tight end. Jeremiah Love's going to be the star. The defense is nasty. But the opener at Miami is a tough one, and a little bit underratedly so. Here's the thing. Notre Dame fans don't care about 9 wins anymore. They care about being Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State good. And if they go on the road and take down Miami in primetime, that's the kind of statement that says Notre Dame belongs and they need to be here to stay. If not, maybe it's another year on the outside looking in. Not being in a conference, they're probably going to have to win 10 games to make it. No ifs, ands, or buts. But if you're down for the count after week 1 already, it's going to be a lot to have to climb out of. And believe me, that schedule's kind of brutal. Looking at the other team in that game, are we underestimating Miami and Carson Beck in 2025? Mario Cristobal hit the jackpot with Carson Beck, and now it's time to see if the Canes can actually deliver. I actually really like Beck this year. If he was a stock, I'd be all over buying the dip right now because I think the rumors around and what people are kind of chirping about is he's overrated. He was really a first-round talent last year before getting injured. And they've really done a good job of providing him with some skill talent, rebuilding the defense, hopefully. And they've got a chance to actually make a playoff push. If Beck looks like the guy who can run a championship offense, the playoff hype is very real. But if he struggles, Miami becomes just another maybe next year story. But I'll tell you this, the talent is there, and I don't think we're talking enough about Miami. That game, Notre Dame or Miami, is a huge pendulum swing on Sunday night. So there are my 10 questions for week 1. Some are going to be answered, some will linger, but all of them are going to shape the way we talk about this season because it's our first look at all of these teams, and first impressions 1,000% matter throughout the entirety of the season. And that's the beauty of it. Week 1 isn't just the start, it is the first checkpoint in a marathon. If you're fired up for college football, subscribe to the channel, hit like. Tell me below which of these questions you think will have the biggest answer after week 1. I'll be here every week breaking it down with you. See ya.